You can't have your car, even for work. This happened when I was 16. I got grounded for some stupid reason. Probably arguing with my parents or fighting with my brother. They tended to ground me for long periods of time, even for small things. They basically told me it was up to me to figure out a ride to and from work. As long as I knew it wouldn't be from them. Okay, sounds good. I got driven to work by a friend that day, and then after my shift, I began my long walk home. And I do mean long walk. It was about an hour and a half long, and 45 minutes into the walk I started getting phone calls and texts asking where I was, and that I need to come home now. When I finally did come home, I told them I had no other ride and was left with no choice but to walk. Got my keys back that night because they didn't want me walking out alone that late. Worked like a damn charm. My stepdad used to disable my car when he was mad at me. I was 16 when I bought the car. I did all the maintenance myself. I paid for the insurance. He had zero rights to my car. I never figured out how he disabled my vehicles. One time we got into some nonsense fight and he decided to disable my car right before I was walking out the door for work. We lived 17 miles from my job on a road that had a mountain on one side and a river on the other. It was so dangerous. Still, I had to get to work. I took to walking to my job knowing I'd probably not get there until closing time and would lose my job. I worked from 4:30 p.m. to close. Luckily, someone I worked with who was driving home from their shift saw me and talked to someone else they knew who would be driving by me on their way in. I did get a ride. I was late. I didn't lose my job. But that kind of drama doesn't sit well with people. My parents never came looking for me. They didn't even call my job to make sure I made it okay. I did get my car back. I ended up couch surfing until I got my first apartment. My stepdad found out he couldn't out-stubborn me. My dad gave me a choice when I was 16. Quit my job, turn in my keys, phone, computers, etc. and live at school and home. Or move out. I packed my bags before he got home from work. My mother used to use her famous line, "Start walking home and I'll pick you up on the way, anytime." We wanted a ride home from figure skating lessons. The problem was the skating rink was at least 45 minutes walk from our houses. And that walk was mostly on a highway well traveled by truckers. We would be at least halfway home or more before Mom would remember to pick us up. Not to mention we were half frozen. My cousin and I were 14 yo-girls in typical short figure skating dresses. We always has lots of cars and trucks stop and ask us if we wanted a lift. I can't imagine parents that would put their daughters at risk like this. But they did. My mom pulled this on me when I was 17. My car was not running, so I grabbed the keys to our spare car to take my girlfriend home. This was common for our house, and the spare car had always been there for anyone who needed it. Mom had a friend over and wanted to show off, so she said, "You didn't ask to use the Volkswagen. Put the keys back." I looked at my girlfriend and said, "I guess you're staying over. You can use my toothbrush." I was out the door with the keys in about 5 seconds. Back in my college days, I used to work at a youth activity center and ran the day camp program in summer, and the one thing I was taught was do not get into a power struggle with a child. They will definitely out-stubborn you, and they have all the time in the world to dig in their heels. Lol, I had some neighbors try to pull this with their daughter. My sister was her best friend, so I heard about it. She got grounded for whatever reason I forget. And they took away her car privileges. Well, she still had to get to her classes. So she told them she'd take the city bus. They changed their minds real fast. Haha, same. I hitchhike her into town. My parents totally freaked when they found out. Most parents are incredibly stupid and immature themselves. Taking away children's possessions is the number one thing they do when unable to teach or show how to behave correctly. My parents did the same thing. Face with rolling eyes. Phew. I was worried this ought to be an R, raised by narcissists. I'm happy they changed their minds right quick. To this day I regularly walk that far to and from college. How late at night was this? Father here. My oldest. From wife's first marriage. We only use the step during medical treatment. Had a car that normally only he drove. We both had keys and I would drive it occasionally to keep a check on it mechanically. He cursed his mother one night and we took the car away. He worked at a restaurant almost within sight of our house. I came in the next night and the car was gone. I waited for him to pull in and took the spare key and cut it in half. The next night, same thing. Repeated for about a week. Then I started driving the car. One night I came out and no car. I called the police because I would have never thought that he would have traveled all of the way to where I work. They found the car pretty quickly at the local mall. Luckily, in our state, there is a low-level charge, instead of car theft, called operation without permission, that family members can use for minor children. He ended up having to do some community service. The funny thing is that he had made 20 sets of keys.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.